All right. So it is the final leg actually. So later on, the community has been quite sensationalized, if I use that term, by the algorithm XGBoost. Okay. So what happens is that you saw that there was a notion of calculating the gradient which relates to the residual. Okay. So XGBoost actually can calculate the gradient more accurately and efficiently. So it doesn't use the gradient, but use a kind of numerical optimization. So if you remember that one of the ways to do a fine derivative was your kind of partial derivative. Another way was this numerical optimization technique. So I don't want to intimidate you, but there is something called as a Taylor series expansion, which you can use and find out this partial derivative without doing the derivative. Okay, like you remember that if you want to find out a square root, so we directly not applying the square root formula, we can use something like a Newton-Raphson method or something. Okay, so XGBoost tree is also much more regularized, and it does the split greedily rather than an extensive search. Okay, so it's a greedy algorithm, more parallel friendly, and you have more hyperparameters available for tuning. So that's one of the advantages or characteristics of XGBoost. And there is like neural network, you have a tendency called as early stopping. There is also a strategy called as early stopping in gradient boosting, similar strategy. So what you do is you not only keep a training set and testing set, you also keep a validation set. And one simple thing, please understand, also one of the most important things of this lecture, that more parameters a model has, more capacity it has to memorize, right? So as XGBoost has more parameters, you have to take more measures for overfitting. And one of the things that you can find out, or one of the very easy ways to find out a model is overfitting or not, is using this validation set. Because as a model, as the model overfits on the training set, your accuracy will always go on improving. Okay, but in validation set that will not happen. So whenever, so it will, if you see a graph like this, so if you take them from iteration to iteration, okay, or different values while you are changing, you will see that for a particular value of the parameters, the training set accuracy is increasing, but the validation set accuracy is going down, or it is not increasing. So you know that I don't need to anymore increase the parameter value, I can stop there. So this is a strategy which you can use for even gradient boosting, more used from in actually your deep learning community, and this is actually borrowed from the deep learning community in XGBoost, this idea. Another very important algorithm which came about was called as light GBM. So this was introduced by Microsoft, and it brings many of the advantages of XGBoost that we talked about, but it has a faster training speed, uses lower memory, sometimes brings better accuracy, supports a GPU, and it has large dataset handling capability. So light GBM kind of have become de facto standard if you have to build a good model, and it is of course faster than XGBoost. Again, like XGBoost, the number of parameters are quite large. Okay, all right. So another algorithm which came in is called as CatBoost. Okay, and basically all these if the like parameters are numerical, okay, this XGBoost and light GBM and GBoost works better. But this CatBoost particularly came in, okay, because the earlier models were not handling categorical features well. So that's why the name CatBoost. Okay, and so basically, if you are familiar with any Python implementation, you know that you don't for handling a categorical attribute, you will have to apply some scheme like one-hot encoding. Okay, and so here you don't need to do that. Your algorithm will take care of that, but you need to mention some hyperparameter. And this has a better overfitting handling capability also. So it is less prone to overfitting. compared to the other two algorithms that I talked about, LightGBM and XGBoost. Okay, I think this is all the models that I wanted to cover. And to conclude, you will see that ensembles are very important part of machine learning and deep learning. So in deep learning also, when you are building different kind of, so the combining the CNNs, right? Combining the CNNs, especially, the pre-trained models, is a very common practice. Okay, and so it's very important to understand them as they are currently, considered state of the art. So if you are thinking of any high performing solution, okay, ensembling is one of the easiest ways to improve accuracy of your model. Okay, and so I hope you got a good understanding. I tried to give you the codes also. The way forward, of course, for you will be to pick up some data sets, okay, and try your hand on different kind of models, and of course then practice, practice, and practice. Okay, so again, the different types of ensembling models that we saw over here was a simple voting scheme. The voting scheme which we saw, which was kind of majority voting, was the hard voting scheme, which can be, slightly made sophisticated using your gradient boosting, your soft voting technique, okay, where you look at the predict probability. Then we talked about, bagged model, where you just randomly sample the data, and we saw that we can not only randomly sample the data, but we can also randomly select some of them, where we went to a random forest. And then we saw that these were all parallel implementation. We can go into boosting. The boosting trees are actually built sequentially, and why they are called boosting? Because you boost the learner from the errors it makes from the last exam, something of that sort. Okay, and there we have looked at AdaBoost, gradient boost, and so AdaBoost in details, gradient boost in somewhat detail, and we have touched upon the next ones like XGBoost, LightGBM, and CatBoost with their relative merits, demerits, and use cases. And we have also seen that how you can use the hyperparameter tunings to improve the accuracy for an ensemble model. So when at a individual decision tree on the Sonar data set, we were achieving an accuracy of 71%. When we can apply, we saw just gradient boosting, not even XGBoost, we saw that the performance can be improved by 92%, which is a huge increase. Okay, some of the materials that I have referred. So if you look at the general category of material, so I will highlight couple of things, okay, from the recent survey by Kaggle. So it says that 98% of the data scientists are saying that they are still learning. So continuous learning is not an option. Okay, so you will have to continuously update yourself, because this is a actively live field. This is not a dead field. Newer developments, newer algorithms, newer tricks, newer libraries are coming every day. Okay, so that is one. And number two was that what are some of the sources to learn from? So the top sources that the community told was firstly blogs. So blogs maybe like Kaggle, maybe like Towards Data Science, maybe other blogs like Analytics Vidya. Okay, so you have to use such kind of blogs. And second was research papers or research type of books. So I have given you example of a research type of book. And finally, of course, the YouTube lectures. Problem, or one of the issues with YouTube lectures is that it is many times not ratified. Okay, so there is a need to actually go and ratify, find kind of a curated list. Okay, so the one that I have mentioned over here is very good for machine learning stuff, and you can get a lot of good material, a lot of good understanding of assembly from here. Okay, so I think that kinds of bring us to the end of my session.